Good morning, residents. Welcome to our Front Porch Chat series. Now that it's really nice spring weather or pre-summer weather, we're out at Carnwath, Farms, our lovely 99 plus acre park. And I welcome you all to come out to this park as well as our many other great parks. We already have people walking this morning, walking dogs, walking in baby carriages, their young children, enjoying the time, and we're filming this around 10:45, so it's already quite active. So please come on out. When you do visit Carnwath and our other parks, remember we are now in the deer tick season. Those little critters are around the grounds, so dress appropriately, and please check yourselves after you walk through the woods or the fields. Check your children regularly from head to toes, and but enjoy the weather. Don't worry about them. You just be cautious. That's all we want to do. Today, I'm going to have the great pleasure of interviewing our county legislator, from the 15th district, Joey Cavaccini. Many of you know him also as our town historian, and we'll be chatting some after some of my remarks about COVID update. Yes, but I welcome Joey.
Thank you.
Here this morning. He's kind of the unofficial caretaker of Carnwath, the dean of Carnwath, whatever you want to call him. This is I don't know if it's his first love or his second love, but it's certainly one of his loves.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Life.
Thank you.
So
Thank
welcome,
you.
Joey.
Thank you.
Just want to give you a situation update with respect to COVID. We will be discussing at our next board meeting on Monday night, April 12th, of the reopening to public without appointments town hall. The numbers still are mixed, and we still have concerns keeping regular daily track with the county executive, Mark Molinaro. Right now, as of the 5th, the latest reported statistics, actually the number of active cases throughout the Dutchess County were down, slightly. That's a good sign. The town of Wappinger was down again slightly, below 100. We've kind of plateaued during this last month, between 100 and 120. But as of on the 5th, it was 95. So, knock on wood, that we can continue to keep those numbers down. The number of hospitalizations in the county has also gone up slightly. Thank goodness the number of deaths has been stable. That hasn't gotten any worse recently. But we learned, actually, thanks to Legislator Cavaccini's efforts, that the town of Wappinger has actually had the highest death rate of all the municipalities in the county, and that's one reason why we have been so concerned about reopening town hall. Quite honestly, especially with all the seniors we had, the number of active cases that we did have, but right now things seem to be stabilized, especially as vaccinations increase. Right now there is over 60,000 people in the county that have received both vaccinations, a little bit over 20% of the population. So please keep getting your appointments and going out there for all those that want to and are don't have their personal reasons for not getting vaccinations. We believe it's helping. Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health has been able to increase on a weekly basis the Moderna shots, Johnson & Johnson vaccine from New York State, thanks to a very proactive work by county officials, and this is expected to continue. There are the pop-up sites, the small pods that we are continuing to sponsor throughout the county. Wappinger and East Fishkill were the first of those, and hopefully they'll get back to the town once they've gone through the rest of the state. We're looking at now, as you've heard, the as of April the 6th, 2 days ago, individuals 16 years and older are eligible to be vaccinated. Only though Pfizer vaccine has been approved for individuals 16 and 17 years old. But go to our, the county website, also the town website, Facebook. We are posting the information and the access points as we receive information. There's also more and more allocations going on within the county at various clinics, federally qualified centers, pharmacies, and the like. So, the good news is that we are seeing a lot more availability of vaccination doses. So please stay tuned. If you do have any questions, though, please feel free to call my office, and we'll be able to provide you with more updated information. Also, starting April 1st, a few days ago, domestic travelers are no longer required to quarantine after entering New York from another state or U.S. territory. Although it's no longer required, the county still recommends that you have a self-imposed quarantine to the extent that you are able to do that. State law for I think almost all employers does have some protections and provides for compensation where that is necessary. So we're keeping this monitored, as you've seen, assuming the current rates and doesn't get worse. We're continuing to plan our outdoor activities through our recreation department, and so we're hoping to get back to a somewhat near normal schedule over the course of the next 6 months. And we'll talk a little bit more about at least one of those programs with Legislator Cavaccini in a few minutes. So again, please get out to our parks. They're open, and we are doing more and more work, passing more approvals for more park equipment and various modifications, improvements to our parks settings. So please keep your interest up and reach out to each of your councilmen or women in the various wards, or of course myself and our legislators as well, which are always there to help, and especially at the county level. But they work very closely with me and the town administration on a variety of topics. So, speaking of that, then I want to turn to Legislator Cavaccini. He was elected back in 2019 to serve the 15th district in the town of Wappinger. His district is entirely within the town.
Yep.
We have two others. We're very fortunate to have two other legislators that do serve the town, and one of those is Lisa Paoloni, and I believe her district is
entirely within the town
yep. as well. And then Donna Bollner, who's at the kind of the northeast quadrant of the town, does overlap LaGrange, I think some
yes.
at East Fishkill,
yes.
correct?
Yes.
But all three of them are very much coordinated with us, but especially Joey and Lisa on almost a daily basis. For those of you who may not be aware, there are, what is it? It's 25, right? 25 legislators yes. that serve for the county legislature, and they're the ones that pass a lot of legislation that we'll be talking about shortly that do impact us, the residents and businesses in Wappinger mm-hmm. directly. A very important responsibility. Joey is a member of the Environmental Committee, mm-hmm.
Public
Works and Capital Projects Committee. It was one that I felt was extremely important, as
Definitely.
well as environmental, to get him on those, and has been a great help for us. Benefit assessment review,
yep.
and last but by no means least, also a very active one is the Veterans Affairs Committee, and Joey, along with Kevin Hawthorne, Randy Ross, Donna Lenhart, Tommy Mosh,
yes.
and others in the town have been extremely proactive in that committee, taking a lot of ideas that we've generated and really making them work. Joey started his career in public service probably from almost the day he was born, but certainly
close to it.
at the age of 12.
Yes, sir.
When he started officially being the town historian, and has continued to proudly serve in that public service through now, and continues to, and has actually made huge contributions in that area. Here at Carnwath Farms, we have the Sports Museum of Dutchess County. Yeah. Joey's played also a very important role, not just on their board, but as a custodian. He and his dad and others have really made significant changes, improvements to the museum. He's fought tirelessly to make sure that that stays open and even grows more in the months and years ahead. And I thank him for that effort.
Thank you.
Wappinger Historical Society, both he and I serve on the board, and he's very much involved too in strategic planning. The Oddfellows also, as well as the Carnwath, different Friends of Carnwath, different organizations that are involved. So extremely active and participatory person. So I'd like to first just thank you again, Joey, for your outstanding public service.
Well, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for your partnership and help. Really.
And especially with that partnership and what you've brought in a very proactive style during since 2020, I guess, when you were officially sworn in. You're elected that. So why don't you discuss briefly with your constituents, our residents and businesses, just a little bit about yourself. What got you interested in public service, and then maybe you can share one aspect or something that nobody really knows about. Okay.
All right.
The people know a lot because you've been in public service, but what got you in it, and what is something that people would find interesting that they may not know?
All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. Supervisor, for having me on. As the supervisor covered, I started my public service career here in the town of Wappinger at 12 years old. What started out as a love and passion for local history ended up developing into a love and passion for the town of Wappinger. And I first got involved, actually it would be 9 years this coming week ago in the town, when I went before the town board to recognize a historic area within the town known as Swartoutville. And that's actually my neighborhood, the southeastern portion of the town of Wappinger, which was a historically important meeting place during the Revolutionary War, where George Washington, a number of other ranking officials of the Continental Army met strategically with Jacobus Swartout and our Dutchess County militia. So I went before the town board to put up signage, and eventually the former supervisor, Barbara Gutzler, reached out to me and offered me a position within the office of the town historian. And I have been working at Wappinger Town Hall ever since. Actually, this property here, Carnwath, is I call it my baby. It's near and dear to my heart. And my father and I worked tirelessly to get the place to a good, presentable fashion. And ultimately, at the end of the day, my goal was to make Carnwath a destination for the residents of the town of Wappinger and know that you have this beautiful park to use. My big thing is enhancing the quality of life here in the town of Wappinger. I stand for promoting our hamlet centers as nice walkable downtown communities with enhancing the historical and heritage of those areas, promoting the smart economic development of some of our plazas and storefronts. Before we build new, let's try to fill the empty malls before we build new malls. And then again, enhancing our park system. County legislators Peloni and Bollner and I have worked tirelessly to bring back grant funding to the town of Wappinger for our park system, whether it's for Spook Hill or Robinson Lane or hopefully, knock on wood, Carnwath Farms. We have been working tirelessly to bring funding back to the town of Wappinger.
And I'd point out that we've been working closely with Joey, the concept and the improvement of signs designating the various communities and neighborhoods in and throughout the town. Why don't you just briefly mention that?
Yeah.
And discuss that.
Our community greenway gateway sign project was started back under, I believe, the Ruggiero administration, but then was actually kicked back up under Supervisor Thurston's administration. We worked together to come up with a new design, replace the former gateway signs that were kind of falling down. They're 20 years old, some of them, and start a brand new wave of these signs. We've made sure that we have at least planned for almost every neighborhood in the town getting a sign that hasn't gotten one already, and looking to further promote each hamlet or hamlet center within the town. And we've done, I think, a very good job in doing so. And there's more signs to come, and especially if your neighborhood would like a sign, please reach out to either of us, and I think that we can try to work to make that happen in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
You had asked me to say one thing, I guess, that's interesting. I don't know.
Just something that people might find fascinating about you or interesting.
I really don't know. I'm an open book. I mean, my life is solely dedicated to Wappinger, I feel, in almost every way. But I love being outdoors. I love supporting local businesses. That's my big thing. You always catch me out on a weekend somewhere in town. I don't know.
Oh, that's great. I mean,
I don't know.
Well, in that context, as a legislator,
Yeah.
in the short period that you've been doing that, what has been, if there is one singly most rewarding aspect of your job so far?
Seeing things get accomplished. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I want to see the town kind of continue to grow and prosper. Right. So I've seen a lot of these projects sit on a desk for years or be talked about for years. And to finally see shovels going in the ground, finally seeing progress being made, that's, I think, the most rewarding part of the job, is actually seeing things get done for the people of the town.
And speaking of which, we've been, it was started earlier, and I think, for a long time talked about, but finally we've seen some significant activities with respect to road infrastructure. Actually 3 major projects right now, and probably a 4th or a 5th, with roundabouts and so forth. But since you're on the Public Works, committee, for the legislator, I know Joey and I work together very closely with Commissioner Bob Balkine.
Yes.
And Commissioner Balkine has been extremely helpful and proactive. But maybe you just briefly described a little bit, about the projects, and I'm sure people are really interested about Old Hopewell Road, which we're almost daily involved in.
Yes, that's for sure. Just as a way of feedback on Old Hopewell Road, County Route 28, that project was originally designed and approved by Dutchess County government under the Bill Steinhaus administration around 2001. So we are now finally 10 years later moving forward on this project. When I first took office, I met with Commissioner Balkine and the supervisor to discuss the project, what was even going to happen, because I think both of us were kind of blindsided or left in the dark as to what was going to happen. But Commissioner Balkine gave us everything soup to nuts as to what's going to happen with Old Hopewell Road, which is going to include widening the road, to have safer shoulders for pedestrians and bicyclists. It's going to include 2 new traffic lights, both on Low C McFarland, that intersection, as well as Spook Hill Road. Some turning lanes, the enhancement of the All Angels Old Hopewell intersection, as well as lowering the road in certain areas as well.
Enhanced drainage?
Enhanced drainage, that's a huge thing that's going on right now. So it might look a little scary right now, as I'm not a big fan of how it looks either. I want the town to look good, but it will look beautiful by the end of it. So that's the one project, Old Hopewell Road. The second one would be the Route 376 New Hackensack Road and All Angels Hill Road roundabout at the heart of our New Hackensack Center. A lot of people aren't a fan of roundabouts, but I think that this roundabout will pay off at the end of the day. The traffic issues out by the airport were horrendous before. The traffic signals weren't timed right, at rush hours being backed up. This will allow for a seamless flow of traffic going around the center of that circle, as well as a number of other cosmetic additions that are being paid for by the state of New York and will benefit the town of Wappinger, such as nice historical styled street lighting, sidewalks, a new pocket park, and a nicely landscaped roundabout.
And all the while, you know, the county commissioner and others have been working with us, coordinating, especially with respect to historical preservation. If there is anything that they find, because keep in mind, Old Hopewell once was a turnpike, a major thoroughfare, you know, at the new Hackensack intersection, what I call Five Corners because of the strange configuration. One of our older historical buildings, which actually had a fire, gutted a lot of it, but as they tear down that building, you know, they're very conscious. They've committed to work with us, and particularly the town historian, on historical preservation. So we continue to have a real focus on that because that is a quality of life issue. And more to come. You know, we're in connection with the new stadium, extensions, improvements, getting the Yankees up here. The county executive and Commissioner Balkine and also the state have agreed to put in a roundabout at Chelsea and Route 9D, right?
Yes, so that's hopefully going to be moving forward as the other stadium improvements continue to go on. One thing on the stadium, I voted for the improvements out there to bring in the New York Yankees because the alternative of the county not putting in some of these capital infrastructure improvements would be Dutcher Stadium would sit empty, like so many other stadiums across this country right now. So we had the opportunity to get in a New York Yankees affiliate, and with these improvements will ultimately generate massive amounts of revenue, millions and millions of dollars worth of revenue to Dutchess County government, and ultimately generate sales tax revenue for our surrounding communities as well.
And all this really means that working together, you know, myself, the town board with our 3 legislators, and they working with closely with the legislature itself and the county executive, Marcus Molinaro. The top priority is to make sure that we benefit from it, not to our disbenefit. So, you know, things such as trying to get roadway infrastructure improvement, parks monies, which, you know, we've gotten a little bit, but we haven't gotten as much as others. So those types of projects have been very much on the, and we have a list, you know, that actually we work on to get those improvements. In that context, I guess it probably like any bureaucracy, including town government, what is that the most challenging part of your job as a legislator, or what might you say is the most challenging part? I know it's not getting all that you want. You know, we never can do that. But
no, the most, I mean, really going back to what I thought was my most satisfying thing was getting these projects accomplished. The most dissatisfying thing is the bureaucracy, truly. Again, like I said, Old Hopewell Road was approved in 2001, the project, and didn't get done until 10 years later. So it's, again, I've worked in town government now for 9 years, so I've seen some of the bureaucracy that local government and state and every other level has. But that is the most frustrating part, trying to build a consensus among certain colleagues of mine too, trying to work together. Again, at the end of the day, we all have the same vision, the same goal. So my big thing is let's all work together. We all have the same vision. We represent the same people. These are great quality of life improvements. We got to listen to the residents. That is a huge thing. But again, also follow kind of the overall vision and plan of the town.
We have a town plan of 2010.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
right?
the comprehensive plan.
The comprehensive plan, which we do observe very closely, and the way that we do matters. You know, going to a little bit of different topic, but one that's very close to Joey's heart and my heart, you know, is that in this wonderful park, our trails would not have happened but for the dedication of a number of people, but particularly Joe Anderser.
Absolutely.
You know, Joe Anderser passed away last year, I guess.
2020, January 1st.
And I had the great fortune to know him during my, you know, first 2 years in office, and I came to really love and respect him for what he really did. There's a few individuals in our town like he, like Ralph Holt, you know, and Helen Fumarillo, who, you know, and others. I mean, we do have a longer list, you know, and we hope to recognize more of them, you know, going forward. But, you know, in honor of his memory and contributions, we decided, actually, I guess 2 years ago, one of the first things that I had the Veterans Affairs Committee, led by Deputy Supervisor Kevin Hawthorne, try to do was this Veterans Memorial, Joe Anderser Memorial 5K run walk, but we had to cancel that last year because COVID was just on its rampage through the country. Why don't you, since you've been you're very much involved, Joey, particularly the PR, why don't you describe and promote a little bit the run walk that's coming up very shortly now?
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. Kevin Hathorne, Randy Ross, Donna Lenhart, Jessica Fulton, Tommy Mosh, fantastic team in our both Parks and Recreation Department and Veterans Advisory Group. It's going to be April 17th, that's a Saturday, starting at the Van Wyck/Lake Walton trailhead of the Dutchess County Rail Trail, and it will be proceeding toward the town of Wappinger, actually going along the Veterans Memorial Mile, which is solely within the town of Wappinger. And this race is both run and walk, so people of all abilities, we want to try to get as many people out as possible, will be able to participate the day of this event. Registration is available on the town of Wappinger website, as well as in-person day of the race. And
I think that's 7 o'clock in the morning, day of the race.
Start. Yes, 7 o'clock start, day of the race. I can tell you that the members of the committee have been out in force throughout the town, getting sponsorships and donations to try to support the veterans' causes. At the end of the day, this race is to try to promote our Veterans Advisory Group and the Veterans Affairs Division of the town of Wappinger. The committee is looking to bring Hometown Heroes banners throughout the town, which will be starting along Middlebush Road, Sergeant Palmetier Way, and looking to expand further. I've been talking to a number of residents as well that have suggested a number of other ideas, such as a Rosie the Riveter rose garden that could be throughout the town. And also we're working with the county to hopefully develop a Dutchess County Veterans Museum here at Carnwath Farms in the Reese Cultural
Right over
Center.
there, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully, right there. And hopefully that can start picking up some steam as well. But that's ultimately what this race is doing. It's the first event of many for the Veterans Advisory Group, and it's to help acknowledge those that have served our country.
Yeah, and we'll have the following day the unveiling of the Memorial Highway, Veterans Memorial Highway in Wappinger, which is going to be at List Road, sign, which the signs are already up. They've been covered with paper, blown off a little bit, but nevertheless, we will have some of, I believe Senator Serino, Assemblyman Lawler has been invited, same with the county executive. Hope they can come. I'll be there, Joey and many others will be there, which is, again, we have undertaken the latest count, over 20 different activities in recognition, memorial for our veterans. I think one of the most proactive municipalities, and we're doing more. We're pushing for the possibility of a veterans cemetery, in the town over near the Castle Point, hospital. So stay tuned, but please participate, sign up. As Joey mentioned, the number of donations, sponsorships has been amazing, actually. Huge. We've gotten, all sorts of organizations that are really into this. So just one last thing before we run. What would you like to leave as a departing comment note to our residents here?
Well, as we start to open back up from COVID, and we acknowledge all the events of the past year, I hope that if you're able to, continue to go out, support our local businesses. They are in dire straits right now. Our restaurants, the small mom and pop shops throughout our town. We are so fortunate to have such community-minded individuals here in the town of Wappinger that have chosen to open their doors here. If you are able to, financially, physically, we hope that you can go out and support them as we start to reopen.
And they've all, been very conscious, proactive on COVID protocols.
Over the top,
better, and of course the town has responded with passing special legislation to help
outdoor
them,
dining,
which continues. It wasn't just an emergency legislation.
You made it law. You codified
we made it law so that it can continue, going out in the future to help them with their business growth. And we will be now with COVID hopefully totally, going away as vaccinations and other protocols, have their greatest effect, jump starting again our Small Business of the Month,
Yep.
And other recognitions in the Wappinger Strong, efforts, so which Joey has worked with me and vice versa very closely on. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned for more developments. There is plenty more to come as we move forward. And might I say, all keeping good control on the tax dollars that are spent and tax cap and everything else.
County kept taxes flat this year, and so did the town. So we both worked together on that.
Yeah.
That's one of the few municipalities
In fact,
that
I
actually do
think
that.
we were probably the first to announce
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
But Joey helped.
Yes.
And so did our other two legislators in keeping the county taxes low as well. So thank you, everyone. Please have a wonderful time going forward in this spring. Have a great weekend and visit our parks.
Yes.
Take care.
See you soon.